In the turbulent landscape of the Vietnam War, a chilling event unfolded that would come to be known as a dark stain on history. It was a moment when the horrors of war collided with the lives of innocent civilians, revealing the complex and haunting moral questions that arise in times of conflict. This narrative delves into that haunting chapter of the Vietnam War, exploring the darkness that unfolded on one fateful day in a remote village. The Vietnam War, which took place from 1965 to 1973, was a highly intense and brutal conflict that had profound and enduring effects worldwide. This war was notably marked by guerrilla warfare tactics, where American troops found themselves in foreign lands, far away from the comfort of their homes. The conflict sparked heated and divisive debates regarding its legitimacy and purpose. Amidst this turbulent backdrop, a deeply disturbing incident, the My Lai massacre, unfolded on March 16, 1968. In the spring of 1968, during the Vietnam War, the events leading to the My Lai massacre began to unfold. This chapter in history was marked by the grim and tragic story of a village caught in the crossfire. My Lai, situated in Quang Ngai Province, found itself in the spotlight as suspicions of being a Viet Cong stronghold grew. Task Force Barker, composed of soldiers primarily from B Company and C Company, was assigned the task of dealing with My Lai. As the mission took shape, soldiers received an unsettling briefing on the evening of March 15, 1968. The instructions were ominous. Anyone found remaining in the village after the operation was to be viewed as an enemy combatant. The soldiers understood the significance of body counts in the context of the Vietnam War, where higher counts equated to greater effectiveness in the eyes of their superiors. This obsession with numbers contributed to the callousness with which civilians were sometimes counted among the enemy dead, regardless of their actual status. As the morning sun rose, the soldiers began their mission with a sense of foreboding. The combination of vague orders, the pressure to perform, and the prevailing mentality of the time all played a part in the tragic events that would soon unfold in My Lai. With the dawn of March 16, 1968, the peaceful village of My Lai was thrust into a nightmare. The soldiers of Task Force Barker, driven by the unsettling orders received during their briefing, unleashed a horrific massacre that would forever stain the pages of history. The suddenness of the attack caught the unsuspecting villagers off guard. Within moments, grenades were hurled into bunkers where civilians sought refuge, bayonets were used, homes were set ablaze, and indiscriminate gunfire echoed through the village. Women, children, and the elderly were not spared from the onslaught, regardless of their pleas for mercy. The soldiers displayed a chilling ruthlessness as they executed anyone they came across. The scene descended into madness, with the soldiers showing no restraint or compassion. As the horror in My Lai unfolded, another tragic chapter was simultaneously taking place nearby. Approximately 45 minutes after C Company landed in My Lai, B Company arrived in a neighboring hamlet. What transpired there mirrored the atrocities occurring in My Lai. B Company's actions resulted in a second massacre, with estimates indicating that between 60 to 155 innocent people lost their lives. Among the victims were women, children, and elderly individuals, many of whom were unable to defend themselves or escape the violence. One particularly chilling incident involved a group of civilians numbering between 20 and 50 who were led to a dirt road just outside My Lai and executed en masse. The brutality of the soldiers spared no one, and the scene was one of utter devastation. Though less documented than the events in My Lai, the second massacre serves as a grim reminder of the widespread violence that occurred during this dark chapter of the Vietnam War. It highlights the extent to which innocent civilians were caught in the crossfire and the tragic consequences of war's chaos and confusion. Amidst the horror of the My Lai massacre, a glimmer of humanity emerged through the heroic actions of a few individuals. Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson Jr., Specialist Lawrence Colburn, and Specialist Glenn Andreatta, members of a helicopter crew, played a pivotal role in attempting to rescue civilians and prevent further bloodshed. The crew, shocked by the unfolding tragedy, spotted a wounded woman attempting to flee the violence. Despite radioing for assistance, they received no response. Undeterred, they launched a smoke grenade to provide cover for the injured woman, although they could only watch as Captain Medina, a U.S. soldier, approached her and executed her point blank. Thompson then observed troops advancing towards a bunker filled with civilians. Landing his helicopter between them and the bunker, he urged Lieutenant Calley, the officer in command, to help the civilians escape. Calley callously replied that it would be better to kill them. Realizing they had to act, the helicopter crew took matters into their own hands. They began evacuating civilians, displaying immense bravery in the face of chaos. Specialist Colburn was even given orders to shoot any American soldiers who attempted to stop the evacuation. Their actions saved about a dozen lives, offering a ray of hope amid the darkness of My Lai. Following the horrifying events of My Lai, when Hugh Thompson reported the massacre to his superiors, their response was initially dismissive. The official military account falsely asserted that 128 Viet Cong had been killed, conveniently omitting any mention of civilian casualties. It wasn't until journalist Seymour Hersh's revealing article in 1969 that the truth began to emerge. However, public reaction was divisive. Some still questioned the authenticity of the accusations, underscoring the difficulties in accepting the grim reality that unfolded in the wake of the Vietnam War's darkest episode. Despite facing resistance, a thorough investigation into the My Lai massacre was eventually initiated. Lieutenant William Calley faced multiple murder charges and was ultimately found guilty. Initially sentenced to life in prison, his punishment was later reduced to house arrest and ultimately pardoned by President Nixon. In contrast, the heroic actions of Hugh Thompson and Lawrence Colburn were acknowledged, albeit years after the tragic event. Their courage was recognized, serving as a reminder that amidst the darkness there were those who sought justice and upheld humanity's values. The My Lai massacre remains an indelible stain on the annals of history, serving as a chilling testament to the harsh realities of warfare and the profound moral dilemmas thrust upon soldiers during the Vietnam War. It unveiled a harrowing facet of the conflict where innocent civilians bore the brunt of suffering, caught in a maelstrom they never sought nor understood. While a measure of justice was meted out to those responsible, the wounds of this horrifying episode persist, etching deep scars in the collective memory of the Vietnam War. This grim chapter compels us to reflect on the broader consequences of war, forcing us to confront the painful truth that the price of conflict extends far beyond battlefields and political agendas. It urges us to contemplate the enduring human toll, emphasizing the urgent need for peace and diplomacy as alternatives to the horrors that unfolded in My Lai. Ultimately, the My Lai massacre serves as a haunting reminder of our collective responsibility to strive for a world where such atrocities are never repeated. If you found this narrative on the My Lai massacre and its profound impact on the Vietnam War thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated on more compelling stories that shed light on significant historical events and their enduring lessons. Your support fuels our mission to provide engaging and informative content. So click that subscribe button and join our community of curious minds. Thank you for being a part of our journey to explore the depths of history and humanity.